The moment I step through the door, Jessica's voice cuts through the quiet like a dull knife. Honey, we need to talk. That's never a good sign, especially not after a brutal 12-hour shift at the warehouse. I kick off my muddy work boots by the door, glancing at her over my shoulder. She's perched on the edge of the couch in our small Denver apartment, a half-empty glass of Chardonnay dangling between her fingers. Probably liquid courage. Even in the dim light of the living room, I can see the tension pulling at her face, the way her shoulders hunch like she's bracing for a storm. I don't say a word, just head straight for the bathroom. The hot water blasts over me, steam clouding the tiny space, but it does nothing to thaw the ice settling in my chest. Tonight was supposed to be the night I brought it up. The guy she's been meeting for lunch every damn day this week, and most of last week too. I already know who he is. Ethan, some slick marketing hotshot from her office. The real question gnawing at me isn't his name. It's how far she's let it go. Is she already halfway out the door, dreaming of a life with him? I towel off, throw on a clean t-shirt and jeans, and trudge downstairs, steeling myself for whatever's coming. Jessica's set a cold bottle of Coors on the kitchen table. Thoughtful. I'll give her that. I drop into a chair across from her, reaching for the beer as I study her face. Please don't be angry, she says, her voice tight. I don't respond, just twist off the cap and pour the beer into a glass, letting the fizz settle. She exhales hard, her fingers tightening around the stem of her wine glass like it's a lifeline. Oh God, this isn't easy. I stay silent, waiting her out. She shifts in her seat, eyes darting to the floor, then back to me. You know I love you, Matt. Do I? My voice comes out flat, colder than I mean it to. Of course I do. It's just that, she squirms, and I'm not about to make this easy for her. She takes a shaky sip of wine, then forces the words out. There's this guy at work. We've become friends. More than friends, actually. There it is. The confession hangs in the air like smoke. Will she backpedal now? Or is she finally going to say what she really wants? I'm attracted to him, she admits, her voice barely above a whisper. I watch the bubbles rise in my glass, letting the silence stretch out, thick and heavy. I love you, Matt, she says, her tone wobbling. So I'm asking if you mind. No, of course you mind. I mean, I'm asking if I can if you, she groans, frustrated, running a hand through her dark hair. Christ, can you say something? The days are getting shorter, you know. She blinks, flustered. Oh, come on, you know what I mean. Do I? I lean back in my chair, crossing my arms. Now you're just being difficult. Am I? A spark of anger flashes in her hazel eyes, mixing with the uncertainty. Matt, this man I work with, I want to be with him. The words burst out of her like a dam breaking. I take a slow, deliberate sip of my beer, the ticking of the old clock in the hallway slicing through the quiet. I won't betray you, Matt, she adds quickly, like that fixes everything. I set my glass down with a soft clink. I wouldn't betray you either. That's called commitment. It's supposed to mean something when two people love each other, especially when they're married. So now that we've cleared that up, what's for dinner? Matt, you're being deliberately stubborn. You know exactly what I'm saying, what I'm asking. Do I? I tilt my head, keeping my expression blank. You're going to make me spell it out, aren't you? Daylight savings is coming up soon, isn't it? Jesus Christ. Can you talk to me like a normal person? She slams her glass down, wine sloshing over the rim. I just told you. I'm attracted to a guy at work, and I want to be with him. Oh, you want me to return the favor? I lean forward, resting my elbows on the table. Let's see. Yeah, there's this woman at work. Holly. Drop dead gorgeous. If I had the chance, I'd love to spend a few hours tangled up with her. And you know what? I don't think she'd say no. I pause, watching Jessica's face harden, her jaw tightening. But there's a small problem. I'm married to the woman I love. Because of that, I wouldn't throw it all away for a cheap fling. She goes quiet, her eyes narrowing as she processes my words. I let them sink in, then add. And I sure as hell wouldn't expect you to forgive me if I did. That catches her off guard. She sees an opening and jumps on it. What if I gave you permission? Her gaze sharpens, determined now, like she's turning the tables. She refills her wine glass and slides another beer toward me. Then it wouldn't be betrayal, would it? I pick up the bottle, rolling it between my hands. That's an interesting argument. But even if you gave me permission, would that stop you from feeling hurt? From getting jealous? From thinking I'd let you down? She hesitates, a small victory for me. After a moment, she says, if we agreed to it, I wouldn't have the right to be jealous, even if I was. I think I could live with it. Could you? I take a long sip, letting her question hang there. What happens if I end up liking her more? What if we connect in a way you and I never have, and suddenly everything we've built over the years just isn't enough anymore? That's ridiculous, she snaps, her voice rising. We're great together. If we're so great, why are we even having this conversation? She flinches, and I know that one stung. A lot of couples do this, she fires back, too fast, like she's been rehearsing it. To bring back a spark. I raise an eyebrow. So I'm not sparky enough for you. Enough for you? No, it's not that. You're plenty. Jessica stammers, but I cut her off, my voice low and steady. You want to be with Ethan Caldwell. The name drops like a brick through glass, and the flicker of shock on her face is worth every second of this hell. Not only do you want to be with him, I press on, leaning forward in my chair, but you're willing to barter anything with me to make it happen, just so you can sleep at night with a clean conscience. Am I getting that right? Yes, she whispers, her voice so faint I almost miss it. Are you already sleeping with him? God, no, she snaps, her eyes flashing. I told you I wouldn't betray you. So sneaking around, feeding this little fantasy of yours, that doesn't count as betrayal? I tilt my head, watching her squirm. The private lunch dates, the stolen glances, none of that feels wrong to you? She exhales sharply, her fingers twitching around her glass. Look, you admitted you're attracted to Holly. It's the same thing. No, I say, my tone cutting through her excuse like a blade. What I admitted was that if I wanted to pursue something with Holly, I probably could. But I don't. We don't sneak off for secret meetups during lunch breaks. So no, it's not the same. I lean back, studying her carefully. Tell me, did you and your boyfriend plan how you were going to spring this on me tonight? Was it his idea? She hesitates, then nods. He suggested it. Wonderful. I mutter, bitterness creeping into my voice. Does he want me to personally deliver you to his doorstep too? Don't be disgusting, she snaps. Sorry, I'm not up to speed on the etiquette of handing my wife over to some sleazy, self-serving jackass. He's not like that. Her voice rises, defensive. You're getting angry, and you promised you wouldn't. I never promised a damn thing, I shoot back. Meanwhile, you made vows about loyalty, Jessica. Remember those? Matt, you're making this harder than it needs to be. Really? My mistake. What did you expect? That I'd tell you to go ahead, book a weekend at some cozy mountain cabin in Aspen, pick out some lacy lingerie, and wave you off with a smile? No, she says, softer now. But I hoped you'd at least consider it. How long? She blinks. What? How long do I have to think about it? Oh, I don't know, she says, flustered. All right then, tell me this. How long has this been going on? She hesitates, chewing her lip. About 3 weeks or so. Fine. I nod, keeping my voice even. You've had 3 weeks to figure out how to justify this to yourself, so I'll take 3 weeks to decide how I feel about it. That's only fair, isn't it? I suppose, she says, uncertain. Good. Now I've got a couple of questions, and I expect answers before Monday. First, are you asking for a full-blown relationship with him, or just a one-night fling? Second, what happens if I say no? What if I say absolutely not? She shifts in her seat, visibly uncomfortable. I don't know. I didn't think you'd refuse. And no, we weren't thinking of it as a one-time thing. There you go again, I say, my voice hardening. We, you and him, talking like you're already some kind of team. But the only we in this marriage should be you and me. Can't you see that? She looks away, her cheeks flushing. I didn't mean it like that. At least she has the decency to look guilty. I swallow the anger clawing up my throat. One more thing. While I'm thinking this over, I say, my voice dropping to a cold, deliberate edge, no more lunches. No more meetings. No lingering after work. No calls, no texts, nothing. Can you promise me that? If not, I'll be sitting down with a lawyer on Monday. She wasn't expecting that. Her eyes widen, uncertainty flickering across her face. If you agree, I continue. I'll allow you one call to tell him that if he wants to pursue this, he follows the same rules. No contact, nothing. Do you understand? Do you have to be so harsh? She mutters. Oh, I'm sorry. Where you see this as some grand romantic soap opera, I see it for what it is, some guy worming his way into my life, trying to take what's mine. And the worst part? The person I trusted most is the one holding the door open for him. Matt, it's not like that, she insists, her voice trembling. It's not like that at all. Keep telling yourself that. I say, and I can see the words hit her hard. Her face tightens, and for a moment, I almost feel bad. Almost. My world's crumbling around me, and here I am, keeping score like it's a game. If I weren't already drowning in disgust, I might be ashamed of myself. But right now, all that disgust is aimed at her and the man she's so desperate to run to. Steak and fries, she mumbles, breaking the silence. What? You asked what's for dinner. Steak and fries. Oh, great. How long? I'll get them started in a minute, she says, her voice flat. I just need to make that call first. I could have pointed out that, once again, she's putting him before me, but I bite my tongue. Instead, I follow her to the kitchen counter where her phone sits, standing close enough to hear both sides of the conversation. She dials, and his voice comes through the speaker, smooth and smug. Jess, sweetheart. Ethan's voice slithers through the phone, smooth and cocky. How'd he take it? Not as well as we hoped, Jessica says, her voice faltering as she glances at me standing just a few feet away. He's right here listening. What's there to think about? Ethan scoffs. He says yes, and we move forward. Simple. No, Ethan, she says a little sharper now. He's right. We've had time to process this. It's only fair we give him the same. Why does that even matter? His tone hardens. He's going to have to accept it eventually. No, that's not what we agreed, she fires back. That's why I talked to him first. We're not moving forward unless he's okay with it. Babe, Ethan says, his voice softening into something syrupy. You know we've got something special. Yes, but that's why I'm calling. He set a condition. She hesitates, her eyes flicking to me. No contact while he's considering it. No lunches, no calls, nothing. I've agreed, and you have to as well. There's a long pause on the other end. Then, with a faint smirk in his voice, he asks, Can I still send you flowers? That does it. Something inside me snaps like a taut wire. I snatch the phone from her hand, my grip tight. Listen here, you arrogant bastard, I growl. You'll have nothing to do with her. No meetings, no calls, and absolutely no flowers. Do you understand? Oh yeah, he sneers. And what exactly are you going to do to stop me? These are my terms. I say, my voice low and steady. If my wife isn't worth the inconvenience to you, maybe she'll finally see what she's throwing away. The line goes quiet. I can almost hear the gears turning in his head. Finally, he exhales, his voice thick with resentment. Fine. I'll agree. He doesn't like it. I can tell, but he knows kicking up a fuss now would unravel whatever game he's been playing. I've got no doubt about it anymore. Ethan's a predator, just another guy looking to notch a win on his belt. If our marriage goes down in flames, it won't mean a damn thing to him. I hand the phone back to Jessica, and she mutters a quick goodbye before hanging up. The rest of the evening, hell, the whole weekend, feels like walking through a minefield. Jessica tries to smooth things over in her own way, cooking my favorite meals and hovering like she's auditioning for Wife of the Year, but I'm not buying it. Every chance I get, I make sure she knows exactly what she's done to us, letting the weight of it sink in. I can't say when the idea first hit me, but once it did, it took root and wouldn't let go. The more I turned it over in my mind, the more it felt like the perfect way out. Almost every night that week, I lock myself in the spare room, our cramped little office with a desk and an ancient desktop computer. It takes a few late nights to rough out a draft, and even longer to polish it into something convincing, something that looks official. I take a couple of days off work to nail down the final details, tweaking the wording until it's wrapped in just enough legalese to hide what it really is. By the time I'm done, I've got a document that'd fool anyone who doesn't look too close. A brown envelope sitting on my desk, ready to go. Every day, I ask Jessica about him. Every day, she swears she's keeping her promise. One night, though, she cracks. He slipped me a note at work, she admits, avoiding my eyes. Asked me to meet him. I ignored it. I nod, saying nothing, but part of me hopes he'll push harder. Maybe his impatience will drive a wedge between them. Maybe the forced distance has already dulled his interest. Either way, this can't drag on forever. I won't keep living in this purgatory, and I damn sure won't stay married to someone who's already checked out. And now, here we are, 3 weeks to the day since her "we need to talk" bombshell. Tonight, it's my turn to take the stage. I step through the door of our apartment, and the smell of something good, garlic and herbs, maybe a roast, hits me right away. Hey, I call out, kicking off my boots and heading for the shower. When I come back downstairs, the brown envelope's tucked under my arm. A cold beer's already poured, waiting for me on the kitchen table. Jessica's eyes lock onto the envelope, her face tightening. What's that? She asks, her voice cautious, like she's stepping around broken glass. I'll tell you in a bit, I say, keeping my tone casual. For now, why don't you start? Anything you'd like to tell me. Her face pales just a shade, and I can see the gears turning. How did you know? I just raise an eyebrow, waiting her out. She exhales, her gaze flicking back to the envelope. Ethan came to see me today. I told him he had to wait until next week, but he said he just wanted to set up where we'd meet. I got mad. I told him if he didn't leave me alone, there wouldn't be a meeting at all. He wasn't happy, but he left. She fidgets with her wine glass, her attention never straying far from the envelope in my hands. What's in there? She presses. We'll get to that after dinner, I say, leaning back in my chair. It's going to take some time, and I wouldn't want to ruin a nice meal. The words land exactly as I'd hoped. A subtle jab, just sharp enough to make her squirm. These days, I take my wins where I can get them. Dinner passes in a thick, suffocating silence. Jessica's too jittery to muster up small talk, and I'm too busy savoring the way she fidgets under my gaze. I even ask her the time twice, just to keep her on edge, to make sure she feels every second ticking by. Once the plates are cleared, steak bones and greasy fry remnants scraped into the trash, I pour her another glass of wine and gesture toward the living room. She follows, sitting stiffly on the edge of the couch, her eyes darting to the brown envelope in my hands. I almost laugh. She looks like a deer caught in headlights. Jessica, I start, settling into the armchair across from her. 3 weeks ago, you blindsided me. You told me you'd caught feelings for some guy at work and wanted to start something with him. You swore you hadn't crossed any lines yet, but you and this Ethan had already mapped out where this was going. She nods weakly, her fingers twitching around the stem of her glass. Tell me, have you stayed true to your vows? Yes, she stammers, then backtracks. No, I haven't broken them. The vows, I say, tilting my head. And are you still set on pursuing this? I think so, she murmurs, barely audible. Well, as promised, I've given it a lot of thought. In fact, it's all I've thought about since that night. And after 3 weeks, I've reached a conclusion. She holds her breath, her eyes locked on me. I believe your little request for permission was just a way to ease your guilt. A cheap trick to make yourself feel better about something you know is wrong, something you know would gut me. Her grip tightens on the wine glass, but she doesn't say a word. No man in his right mind would ever want his wife chasing after someone else. I continue, leaning back in my chair. So it shouldn't shock you when I say I strongly urge you to rethink this whole thing. I pause, letting that sink in before going on. But since you seem hell-bent on doing it anyway, regardless of how I feel, regardless of the wreckage it'll leave behind, you've forced my hand. I've had to handle this my way. I open the brown envelope and pull out a smaller one nestled inside. Her eyes widen. I've got concerns, I say, my voice calm and even, that if I just flat out forbid this, you might nod along now, but the second Ethan's back in your ear, whispering sweet nothings, you'll sneak around behind my back. So, given that risk, I've taken legal advice and had a contract drawn up, an agreement about infidelity. If you read it and agree, sign it. I'll sign too, and we can get a third party to witness it. Her forehead creases, confusion etching deep lines. A contract of infidelity? What the hell is that? Read it, I say, sliding the envelope across the coffee table. It's self-explanatory. She hesitates, then takes it, pulling out the crisp pages. Her eyes scan the text, her frown deepening with every line. This is all legal mumbo-jumbo. I don't understand half of it. That's intentional, I say with a faint smirk. But I'll break it down for you. It states that both of us acknowledge the other might want to step out on our marriage at some point. It also says that if one of us does, and the other can't stomach staying married after that, divorce is on the table. Then it lays out conditions to limit the fallout, emotional damage that, by the way, you're already causing just by wanting this. Plus, there are clauses to head off certain complications, disease, public embarrassment, reputational hits, even personal safety. She blinks at me, stunned. What are you talking about? Well, if you ever expect to crawl back into bed with me after him, I need guarantees. I'm not risking my health. So he gets tested before anything happens, and you get tested after. Condoms are non-negotiable. I lean forward, watching her reaction. He won't like that. Well, I don't like that my wife's been swept off her feet by some slick-talking shark, she snaps, shaking her head. I'll have to talk to him first. And he's not like that. No, you won't, I say flatly. That falls under the embarrassment clause. You don't discuss this document, or anything in it, with anyone but me or a licensed lawyer. She frowns, her jaw tightening. And if he refuses to get tested? If he wants to play, he follows the rules. Otherwise, you can pack your bags and move out. Her head jerks up, eyes wide. What? If you don't sign? We're done. I finish for her, my voice like steel. I won't stay married to someone who's already got one foot out the door. Married to someone who tramples all over our vows. I finish, my voice hard as granite. But at the same time, I'm not ready to lose you completely. So, with my lawyer, I put this together as a compromise. Jessica, you're tearing me apart here. If this is what you're dead set on doing, then at the very least, you need to tell him these terms are non-negotiable. She rubs her forehead, her fingers trembling slightly. I guess that makes sense. What else is in here? You don't bring him here. I say firmly, locking eyes with her. I won't let my home be stained by this. Our neighbors don't need to know you've decided to throw our life away, and I sure as hell won't let you defile our bed. And before you even suggest it, no, you're not going to his place either. You don't really know him. He could have anyone waiting there. Someone who'd make this mess even uglier. She rolls her eyes, a flash of irritation breaking through her nerves. Now you're being ridiculous. And do you have to put it like that? Maybe. I reply, my tone icy. But I take my vows seriously. I promise to cherish you until death. And since you've decided to toss that out the window, I'm not going to dress this up in pretty lies. She doesn't answer, just stares at the floor. I glance at the clock on the wall, a faint smirk tugging at my lips. Unless she's planning to bolt to him this weekend, it'll be Monday before she hears he's landed in the hospital. If someone finds him in time. I lean forward, flipping to another section of the contract. You'll give me advance notice of any planned meetings, date, time, location. If I think the setup's off, I can veto it. Say, for instance, I might want to check a hotel room beforehand to make sure he's not setting you up for something worse. Her face twists, annoyance flaring. He wouldn't do that. You should trust him. I let out a dry, bitter laugh. You think I should trust the guy who's dismantled my marriage and talked my wife into betraying me? She shakes her head, exasperated. Matt, really, he hasn't ruined our marriage, and he hasn't taken me away from you. I meet her gaze, unflinching. He has taken my wife away. She exhales sharply, frustration bubbling over. I'm still your wife. No, I say, my voice cutting through the air like a blade. You stopped being my wife the second you put his desires above mine. A marriage runs on commitment, and since you're no longer committed to me alone, you've lost the right to call yourself my wife. As I speak, a look of dawning horror spreads across her face. Maybe, just maybe, she's finally starting to feel the weight of what she's done, the jagged reality of where this road leads. Oh, and one more thing. I continue, not letting up. No public displays of affection. No flowers, especially not at work where people might see. No public dates, no dressing up to impress him, no buying lingerie for him, and absolutely no using anything special we've shared together with him. Her lips part, but I don't give her a chance to cut in. You'll remember at all times that, to the world, I'm your husband. In public, you'll act like it, putting me first, always. You'll never deny me intimacy if I ever decide to stoop to touching what's been tainted. You'll never talk about me to him, especially not to tear me down. Her breath catches, but I keep going. When you're with him, you'll act like I'm watching, because in every way that matters, I will be. You won't do anything with him you haven't done with me. In fact, your little encounters will stay plain vanilla. No experimenting, no degrading stunts, nothing beyond the bare minimum. No threesomes, no kinky nonsense, nothing. She cuts me off, her face flushed with anger. This is completely one-sided. I don't see you under any restrictions. I raise an eyebrow, tapping the papers. Did you actually read it, or did you just skim? The same terms apply to me if I ever betray you the way you've betrayed me. The difference, Jessica, is that I haven't. And if you'd paid attention, you'd see I've already signed all 3 copies. She stares at the documents, then back at me, disbelief etched into every line of her face. You really think that's what I've been doing? I shake my head, my voice low and certain. I don't think it, I know it. But look, you haven't signed yet. Why don't you call our daughter or your mother? I finish, leaning back in my chair. Ask them if they think what you're chasing is honorable. Jessica lowers her gaze, her fingers tightening around her wine glass. I'm sorry, she murmurs, her voice small. I suppose, from your perspective, that's exactly what I've been doing. It's the first real crack of humility I've seen in her tonight. A faint spark of self-awareness breaking through the haze. Okay, she sighs, defeated. You win. I'll sign the damn thing. No, Jessica, I say, my tone steady. I only win if you don't go through with this. She grabs the pen, scribbling her name across all 3 copies of the contract with a shaky hand. I slide one back to her and keep the others, exhaling slowly. You know, I've been spending a lot of time on the computer lately. Not messing around with anything shady, just doing research. I reach into my pocket and pull out another envelope, sliding it across the table. Go ahead. Take a look. Her fingers tremble as she takes it, peeling it open. I've been digging, I say, watching her closely. Some of it was for the contract, but most of it was about him. Ethan Caldwell. I guarantee I know more about him now than you ever will. He's married. 2 kids, 11 and 9. They moved here to Denver from Boise just a few months back. That part was easy. Social media is a treasure trove. But I didn't stop there. I leaned forward, resting my elbows on the table. I whipped up a fake ID for a non-existent private investigation firm. Fake name, fake backstory, even a fake medical report for a fake Holly, just in case I needed it. The past 2 Saturdays, plus a couple of days off work, I've been out there, driving 90 minutes to his old stomping grounds. Flashing my phony PI badge, asking questions. You'd be amazed what people will spill when they don't like the guy you're asking about. And trust me, nobody had a single good word to say about Ethan Caldwell. Jessica flips through the pages, her expression shifting from confusion to disbelief as the words sink in. He plays the charming ladies' man, acts like some hotshot. I continue. But here's the real kicker. He left his last job under a cloud of scandal. Not just any scandal. An allegation of date rape from a former coworker. It's all right there in those documents. Her hands freeze on the page. It says he's married and has 2 kids, she whispers, her voice barely audible. He told me he was divorced. He said he didn't have children. I fold my arms, leaning back with a dry smirk. Huh, lied to you, did he? What a shock. I never saw that coming. I really thought he was a pillar of honesty. She doesn't respond, her eyes racing over the file until she hits the date rape allegation. Date rape, she breathes, her face draining of color. She stares at the words like they might vanish if she wills it hard enough, then downs the rest of her wine in one gulp. Her hands are shaking as I take the glass and refill it. I grab a tumbler for myself and pour a shot of bourbon, something strong for the moment. I think this calls for a toast, I say, raising my glass. Jessica clutches the pages, her knuckles white. He got to me, she whispers, her voice breaking. Then she looks up, eyes glistening with shame. Matt, I'm so sorry for what I've put you through. I feel like a complete idiot. You tried to warn me, but I wouldn't listen. Oh God, Matt, how can I make this right? I was so selfish, so blind. Can you ever forgive me? I take a slow sip of my bourbon, letting the burn settle in my chest. Yes, I say, and her eyes widen, a flicker of hope sparking to life. Then I finish. You've been completely selfish and reckless, and it makes me wonder why I shouldn't just file for divorce right now. You were ready to torch everything we've built for some smooth-talking liar, and now that you've finally pulled your head out of his mess, you suddenly see how much you've hurt me. She flinches, the words hitting her like a slap. Oh God, Matt, I've been a terrible wife. A terrible person. Even tonight, while you were laying out that stupid contract, I was annoyed at your little digs, but now I see I deserve them. I tilt my head. Stupid contract? What stupid contract? She gestures weakly at the papers. This. It's ridiculous. I smile, a slow, deliberate curve of my lips. Oh no, Jessica. It's legally binding. Her eyes snap up, wide with panic. You're joking. I shake my head. I had it reviewed. Everything holds up. It's real. She lets out a shaky laugh, almost desperate. Even if it was real, it'd need a witness. I take another sip of bourbon, savoring the moment. I recorded myself signing it earlier. And I recorded you signing it just now. Both files are already with my lawyer. That's as good as a witness these days. She stares at me, the full weight of it crashing down. Then she takes a deep breath, her voice soft but firm. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to mess up again. I nod. Good. Then I pull 2 more papers from my pocket and slide them across the table. She hesitates before picking them up. STD-free certificates, I say casually. Then I lean forward, locking eyes with her. So tell me, Jessica, would Monday at 8:30 at the Holdone Motel work for you? I thought I'd give Holly the night of her life. Her face freezes, her mouth falling open just a fraction. And for the first time in 3 weeks, I see it, real understanding. Now she finally knows exactly how she made me feel.